It is June 11th, 2018. 60 years ago today, my little cousin Phil was born in Astoria, Long Island. I'm showing you photos of him here at 4327 159th Street, Flushing, where he lived. Rest in peace. 60 years ago, from June 11th to July 9th, 1958. Here he is with his mommy, my Aunt Pat. And he's obviously looking at her. He got to see her in those 28 days that he was alive. I remember this little boy 60 years ago when I was 5 years young. There I am. And I gotta tell you, I feel really bad that he's gone. Here's his mother and father. Years later. I always felt that he was going to become a musician. For some reason, I thought that he would become a musician. You know? I even wrote it down here, saying that I believe that my little cousin Phil would have been left-handed, and I feel he would have been a musician who was going on to join the music business with me in some way or another. He passed away from leukemia. So young, 28 days young. Can you imagine? Oh man. 60 years ago today he was born. June 11th, 1958. There he is with his mother. Here's his brother, Peter, with my Uncle Phil. Peter was born in 1961, February. There's Peter. That's the brother. That's the older brother. There's my little Frankie, visiting us with Jesus. We're remembering this little boy today. We only have 2 pictures of him. Right here is one with his mommy, see? Oh, Phil. He lived 28 days. And here's a picture of him when we started off with 1958. Look at that little darling. 60 years ago, you little sweetheart, you were born. Only 2 known photos I have of him. There he is at 4327 159th Street, Flushing, New York. I believe the zip is 11355. Don't forget, I was 5.5 years old when this little boy was born. Here's some other photos of the family, you know, in that time zone in Flushing when that little Phil was born. Well, my cousin Peter gave birth to a little guy that he called Phil. That's Peter. My Aunt Pat and Uncle Phil. Peter had a son and a daughter. Danielle is the girl. And the boy is Phil. And he has to do with music. So that parallels what I was talking about when I said I feel he would have been a musician. Maybe it came to the next Phil. The next Philip took on the musicianship. And we'll go over here and look at that now on the internet. See? There's Philip Landini. There he is. He writes writes music, see? And he does look like the inheritant of the family Landini. Lil Phil, born on this day, 1958, 60 years ago, June 11th, 1958. I feel so bad. I remember him. I remember the night that he passed away, and I was with my mom and dad and sister, Claire, Frank, and my sister Barbara, and we were down there with my Uncle Phil and Aunt Pat at 43 2759th Street, and we were all crying in the room away, the room that was from there. This is the front room, and they were in the living room, and my Uncle Phil was there crying. My aunt was crying, my mom, dad, me, everybody. This little room here is that same room here, and I lived upstairs from there. They lived on the bottom floor at 43 2759th Street. We lived on the middle floor, and Grandma and Grandpa lived on the top floor. Alright, little Phil, born on this date, 60 years ago, June 11th. And we're very much thinking about him. As I said, 28 days he lived. He lived 28 days. That little sweetheart is the only known 2 photos I have of him in my collection. And, oh sweet and gentle Jesus, have mercy on thy soul of thy little departed servant. Fold him close in thy boundless love. Dear Jesus, we humbly beseech thee, and grant him eternal light and peace and happiness in the kingdom of thy glory, where thou, with the Father and the Holy Spirit,